Okay, I've gone through the book a couple of times, cleaned it up as best I can. All right. Basically, if the English word, if I key in the English word and the audio that comes up is the same word written out and Romanized or whatever you call it, letters, then that's it, right? I put in my notation, my own phonetical notation, and I leave it at that. If I key in the English word and I get a completely different word, I mean, really not even close to, what it says in here, then I will switch it, because I use the Yandex thing, the English to Russian, right? If you're looking at the screen left to right, I'm doing the English to Russian. I'm keying in the English and hoping what comes out in the Russian thing, once I click on the little speaker icon on the bottom of the Russian half of it, I'm hoping it comes up with the same word used in the booklet. If it does not, I hit I toggle, I switch it around. In between the English and Russian, you see arrows, whatever, you can switch it. Yeah, so I click on that, and so instead of English to Russian, it's Russian to English now. And then there's a little keyboard icon on the look lower on the screen, and you'll see a little keyboard icon. Click on that, and then the Russian characters will show up on your screen. And like I said, luckily, Russia is very phonetical, but you still got to know what the letters mean, right? I already showed you this thing. Oh, if you hear that, that's just the fire alarm. They have fun sometimes going crazy with that, so whatever. No, it's off already. All right. Okay, I've already mentioned this. Now you can find charts on the Russian alphabet anywhere, everywhere online, okay? But, I don't know, I didn't find it I just found it more useful to write it out in my own order or own way. I don't know why I did this quite a while ago, okay? Maybe not an entire year ago, but months ago. If I'm looking at this, this was on my way to Vietnam. So I think I was in maybe the airport in Sofia or whatever. So I don't know, whatever. I don't know why I chose this order, if it was a specific chart I was using, but for whatever reason, I thought it was easier, at the time I thought it was easier to write it out. And I don't know if I picked this order because this was the same order the chart came out with, or whatever. But just look around at the charts. Go with the one that is the easiest for you, for whatever reason. And if you find a way to improve it, to make it easier still, make it easier still. This is just for your benefit, okay? So I made this as straightforward and easy as possible, and I suppose it worked because months later, this is all I needed to refer to, and it still makes sense to me. So there is a uppercase and a lowercase, and I've got that in Russian, and I got pointing to an arrow, and I got the English sound after the arrow. So I don't know if you can make it out or if it's backwards, but I've got a capital A, and then a lowercase a, and then an arrow, and then the word car, and the A in the car is underlined. I don't know if you can make that out. That's the first entry. So I know A in the Russian alphabet sounds like ka, like in car. Unless you're from Boston, then I don't know what the heck it sounds like, but whatever. So yeah. The Russian alphabet, that information is everywhere. Just pick the one that's easiest for you, and if you can make it easier still, write it out and make it easier still. So months later, it still makes sense to me, so I did a pretty good job. So, as I was saying, if I switch it around, so instead of English to Russian, it's Russian to English, and I click on the little keyboard icon on the bottom of the screen, you'll get your Russian letters. And then sounding it out from the way it's written here, I try to guess which letters to use. Luckily, if it's wrong, there'll be a red line underneath it, and it'll even give you suggestions. So, because the O, a lot of times it sounds like an A, and the backwards N, which is the E sound, there are a few things that could be the E sound. So you just get a few of the, whatever. After 2 or 3 tries, you'll probably get it right. It's very phonetical. So that's, thank goodness, or I wouldn't have a chance. Again, I don't know if you can hear that. If you can, sorry about that. Okay, so this is what it ends up looking like after you get used to it. The way I've been describing it. See, I don't find his sentences useful at all. So I'm using the sentence area, whatever space I can find, to write out the Russian word that corresponds to the Romanized Russian word on this side of the on this column. So that's how I've been working that. So if after keying in the English thing, I get the Russian equivalents to the word, that's it. I don't have to do anything else except write out my own phonetical notation. If it doesn't give me, if the word it gives me is completely different, then again, I switch it over, I click on the little laptop thing, and 2 or 3 times I'll get it. I find which word I need that'll correspond with the word they're trying to use. And the words they use, it's pretty good to stick with them, because if you scroll down a little after you get that word, the correct word they're trying to, it has like a whole row of words that are interchangeable. So, I mean, if you can learn this one word, you can use it like in 10 different ways. So, you end up understanding why they use that particular form of it. Okay? So, they did a good job in writing it out. It's just the real mess up came with the audio component. Again, I'm not saying it was done on purpose, but I mean, some of these are really, really bad. It's hard not to believe that it's done on purpose, but okay, I'm not saying it is. I'm becoming a very, very suspicious person, okay? So, I'll leave it at that. But anyway, so that's how I've worked that out. Okay? Hopefully you put in the English thing, you'll get that thing. If not, after 2 or 3 tries, you'll figure out which is the Russian word that you need that corresponds with this other thing. And then the same thing. You put your own phonetical notation when you show you, because, I mean, you can use Google if you want, but the pronunciation in the index, what do I know, right? But it seems like the pronunciation in the index is a lot more accurate than the Google pronunciation. So, yeah. And again, I'd rather learn it right the first time than have to go through what I'm just having to go. Because now that I'm trying to, getting back into the, now that I finished this part, now I've got to relearn the darn thing. So this is the part you never want to have to do, but yeah, that's the way it works out, boys and girls. Okay, so I highly suggest you take a couple of days break. Alright, put this aside and then get on with another project. Luckily, since I have to actively do a job search thing now, I can flip over to that to take a break from this, because yeah, it's the aggravating aspect of it is I'm not even going to try to describe it. I don't want to invent excuses for anybody out there. You got to push through the excuses. You got to get beyond it, because this is for your benefit, not for anyone else's. Okay? So just, and in this world, if you're not looking after your own interests, roadkill. Okay? So, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Oh, and I never updated you as far as my bank situation either, have I? Let's just say I've already canceled my debit card. I've just had it to here kind of thing. Yeah. And so that's just the extras. There's always going to be extra things you can do. Okay? Take a couple of days, break off this, and work on other things, and there's always going to be other things. All right, unfortunately. So, if you can give yourself a break, give yourself a couple of days. If you did the 1 day break, whatever, a little holiday, okay? But yeah, get back to it. And all I can suggest is what I'm trying to do. It seems to work fairly well. Read through it. Don't cover it up. Read through it. Okay, you read the English thing, and then read the Russian thing. All right, you go down the column, you do that. Then cover it up. All right. Yeah, you're going to get it wrong, but whatever. That's just a way to start. At least you'll eventually figure out, okay, that's the same way it was pronounced before. See, all of them weren't wrong. Just enough of them were wrong that I needed to check everything. All right, that was the thing of it. They weren't all wrong. It was just a lot of it was wrong. So, all right, getting back to it, just read it. Don't cover anything up. Read it. Read the English, read the Russian, and back and forth, and go down the list. Then cover it and go. And yeah, you're gonna get, that's all right. Your mind will figure out, okay, eventually, anyway, it'll figure out, okay, that's the same way it was before. That's the same way, okay, that's different. That's different. So even if you're figuring out which one's different and which one's the same, that's something, okay? Just, and then you can work on it like that. And, yeah. Again, I don't want to fill in too many blanks. I fill in all the blanks, and the only person who will be able to use this method is me. So, I mean, do it your own way, obviously. Whatever's easy for you, but I'm just saying. So yeah, I just got, because I was at a point where I was doing 4 lists in one sitting, right? One session, I was able to go through 4 lists. All right, so but now I have to start over. So whatever. So now I'm not covering anything. I'm just reading it, read that, read the Russian, fine. Read English, then the Russian, get it, then cover it and see what you can manage to do. All right. And like I said, if nothing else, you'll eventually figure, okay, that's the same way it was before. And then the ones that were different, sure, you'll stumble a bit. You just gotta start it over again. But at least you have some idea of how you'll end up working it out, right? There'll come a point where, yeah, okay, now you've got the thing back, and you'll be able to go through 4 lists and 1 or 3 lists or whatever, wherever you left off. If you're only doing twosies, then fine, stick with twosies. Me, I just wanted to cover as much as possible within a day, so I got to the point where I was going 4. Believe me, that's more than enough, okay? So if I'm able to do 3 sessions in one day, that means what? 12 lists I've covered in one day. Excuse me. And whatever. So maybe 12 lists, how many lists are, I don't know. Maybe in a week's time, you've reviewed the same term a couple of times, right? So however it works out for you, whatever works for you. But yeah, you just got to start over. Take a break if you've got to, a couple of days, give a couple of days off, and then just don't try to cover it up. Just go ahead and read it and whatever. Let your mind work it any way it wants to work it. And just gotta bite the bullet and get on with it. Okay. And if you're not handling your other business in those 2-day breaks or whatever, you're not being very holistic about this, and you've gotta work it in as many different ways as you can. Remember, once upon a time I said, don't get lost in the weeds. If you're finding the difficulty, go do something else and then get back to it. Whenever you get back to it, yeah. There are too many weeds to get lost in. So just, if you're getting all tangled up, just back off. Back off, do something else for a couple of days, and then whatever. Okay, gotta start over. Luckily, it's only 350 words, and luckily, at least, hopefully, you've got the pronunciation correct. And if the pronunciation isn't correct, I don't care. I'm sticking with it. This is the way it's going to come out. And the only way it's going to be corrected is when I'm actually back in Russia. So, that's it. So, all right. Just how to get that out there. Take a break, as much of a break as you need, and take care of other business, and then get back to it. That's the way it goes. All right, that's it. It was longer than I wanted it to be. Good luck to everybody. Again, try to stay safe, try to stay healthy, and I will talk to you later. Take care.